Going for two, kickers are extra, I give them the boot. Ooh, going for two, sit back, relax while I grab me a brew. Ooh, now I'm reclining while putting my time and I'm ready to go. My spine is aligning and much my lineups, my bank account grow. I am so rich, but knowledge is all that I'm leaving it with. Ooh, listen to this, multiple options, how far can I get? Ooh, DFS Dynasty redraft tonight, I'm not finishing last. I'm finishing past, any and all I am looking to last. What else? This spot is popping and I am so locked in and only opening the door when it is opportunity knocking. And all of these spots keep on talking and talking. So what are we talking? What kind of alignment? And running it deep, even players forgotten or came from the bottom or hitting that top. And this spot is popping, yeah, this spot is popping. And woo, this is the armchair, yeah. Put up your arms, yeah. Sound the alarm, yeah, yeah, yeah. Woo.
What's going on, guys, and welcome to episode 311 of the Armchair Fantasy Show. I'm your host, of course, Jeff Lambert. You can follow me on Twitter at JeffLambert77. Of course, we are live every Wednesday night on Facebook Live, Twitter, YouTube, and Twitch, and, of course, syndicated on all major podcast networks. We are, of course, on the Going for Two Live podcast network, where you can follow all of our great shows. We have a show literally every night of the week, so make sure you check them out. Just go there to the YouTube page, youtube.com/@Going for Two Live, and subscribe. Hit that like button while you're there. I'm here with my co-host, Mr. Technical Difficulty himself, Ryan Searfoss. What's up, man?
Full bars. I think you're just making stuff up. No, that's true.
We shall see how
I'm glad.
How it still goes.
Yeah, I'm just glad I'm not sick this week and suffering through a show. So that's cool. I can drink beer and be happy.
Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, joining us tonight. He's been on the show before. This is his second time. I think last time he was on was like 2021, I believe, a couple years ago. Mr. John Hesterman. He's an expert ranker and writer at FantasyPros, also a writer at DynastyLeagueFootball.com. You can follow him on Twitter at John_Hesterman. What's up, John?
Hey, guys. How's it going? Glad to be back.
Hey, glad you're here, man.
Yeah, glad to have you back on the show, man. So real quick, for my listeners out there, kind of give us a rundown of what you do at FantasyPros and what you do over at DLF.
In season for FantasyPros, I do a lot of DFS work. I write a weekly article there for DFS stuff and obviously the rankings. For Dynasty League football, during the off season is my busy season. So I'm watching film, breaking down rookies. We got the combine coming up. We're going to be hitting hard and heavy during that, so we can get out the most current information based on combine results and get that out. So I'll be ramping it up here real quick in the next week or two.
Good stuff. And Robbie joins us, Breedlove Gaming. He's giving me a hard time because I'm actually on the clock on our startup Dynasty draft right now. I told John I was doing some trades pre-show here, and I wasn't able to pull the trade off, so I told the guy he's gonna have to wait until after the show. So that pick is actually up for trade, Robbie. That's why I haven't made my selection yet. So hang tight, and that'll get made after the show.
Wow, just making people wait. Just pick.
No, I think it's the other side of that. I mean, dude's hopping in the YouTube comments while he's live.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, dude, I did it to somebody in our comments while I was recording. I saw someone in our comments was up, Jamie, who's a big friend of the show, and told him to pick. So I understand.
Tell me we're not all degenerates, okay? Just tell me.
Oh, no, we're all super degenerates.
Yes, we are.
I felt bad because I was in a best ball and I was driving today.
February.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to let's pay some bills here first. Today's show is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Check out their industry-leading best ball leagues, as Ryan just mentioned. They have huge tournaments, private leagues, and pick them for every major sport. Sign up with our promo code using GF2 and get a deposit match up to $100. It's as simple as that. Sign up, use promo code GF2, and you can start drafting your best ball teams. We got a great show today. We brought John on. We're going to talk about some ADP, some startup stuff that's going on right now. We got a little bit of this or that we're going to do. Then we're actually going to look at a live, currently going on right now, Dynasty Startup Draft, Superflex League that we're going to kind of break down round by round and kind of give us our favorite picks of each round. But first, as always, we kick it off with our nonsense draft.
Attention, everyone. Let's mock draft.
All right, today we are drafting albums that we'd want to listen to exclusively for the rest of your life. So basically, you're going to get 3 albums, and those are the only 3 albums you can listen to for the rest of your life. John, you have the first pick as usual with the guest. So you go ahead and give us your 101 here for albums.
This one was actually pretty easy for me. I thought this would be more complicated when I saw it on the sheet, and it took me zero time. Alice in Chains Unplugged. Front to back, solid Alice in Chains with that intimate feel without sacrificing the gritty nature of the music itself. There's not a skippable track on that record. That's my 101.
Great choice. Yeah, I was going through a bunch of albums too, and I listened to all kinds of music, so it was very hard for me to narrow things down, but that was on my list as well. Ryan, what you got for the 102?
I am taking Enter the Wu-Tang Clan, 36 Chambers. Just
Nice.
Classics, top to bottom. Even their own remix they put on it are perfect. Like everything, dude. You get 9 people. It's going to last. There's at least 12 just bangers. They can put you any mood.
Absolutely. I love Wu-Tang. I still do.
Totally
today.
agree.
Yeah.
Protect your neck, baby. Protect your neck. Love it.
Great pick. All right, so I had a hard time with my first pick because I love all the albums that I have on my list here. So I had to come up with my very first one, and this one I kind of figured wouldn't be taken. So I'm a huge reggae fan. I listen to a lot of new reggae, Hawaiian reggae, California reggae, a bunch of reggae. But the very first album that I ever listened to it's still one of the highest selling reggae albums ever, and that is Bob Marley Legend. That basically has all of his hits on it. It's a tremendous album. I listened to that thing all the time in my car way back in the early high school days. And that kind of got me hooked on reggae in general. And ever since then, I've been a huge fan of reggae. So Bob Marley for me, I mean, this guy literally, he died the year I was born. And in years later, his albums are still selling, which is insane to think. But I'm going Bob Marley here. It would be my 101 had I had the 101 there as well. All right, John, back to you with the 104.
This one's going to be maybe a little bit more obscure. I don't think a lot of people are going to know this. Demon Hunter, a thrash metal band from California. They have an album called The Triptych. It's just ka-chunk heavy metal, big chunky riffs, gorgeous vocal melodies in between the screaming, and that sweet double bass. I'm a sucker for that double bass on the drums. It just gets me going. I love it. Add some of the syncopated riffs in there, and it's hard, fast, heavy. I love it.
Nice. Yeah, that's definitely not one that I know of. I'm not familiar with that one at all, but sounds like a good one.
He made you want to listen to it, though. The description
good
is
stuff.
When he sold it, yeah, he definitely sold it.
It's good stuff.
You can tell you're a
They
music
better
guy.
reach out to me on Twitter because I'm, now pimping for him. So
Exactly. You're the hype man now. All right, Ryan, you got the 105.
Shout out Jamie. I'm watching that show too. It's pretty good. I'm a couple episodes behind though. I'm completely changing it up here. I was torn between which one of his albums I'm going with, but I'm going Eric Church, Chief. Just straight classic for country. One of my favorite artists. I'm excited I could see him this summer for the first time. So
Nice.
going to Eric Church.
Good stuff. Yeah, I knew when I put these albums down here that we would all have different tastes in music, and I thought this would be very interesting to do. Because once again, I'm going to go a different route here. So this album came out on a day that literally every American should know and remember. Not for a good thing, but I do remember where I was when I got this album, and I remember what happened when I got home after buying the album. I woke up early in the morning, drove to the mall. I'm in North Carolina with my girlfriend at the time. Drove to the mall, picked up the album, and it's Jay-Z's The Blueprint. And then I got home.
Classic.
Got home and saw the planes had crashed into the towers and into the Pentagon, and that was just a crazy time in general. But that album, every time I hear that album, I kind of think back on that time and how that kind of became like a soundtrack of that time frame for me. So I do think that's probably his second best album. I think the Black Album was a better album, but I think the time frame and when that came out, I think was kind of sold it for me on The Blueprint.
And it was like his first like true classic.
Yeah, it
like
really was.
It was like said person. I probably prefer the Black Album a little bit too, but it was a classic.
It was so good. Yep, agreed.
And the timing of it, like you said, like music has that effect. Like you can correlate that with what's going on, at the time. And so, yeah, and I agree about the Black Album, but yeah, you can't go wrong with that when it's tied in with, the turmoil and everything else that was going on at the time. I kind of low key dig that pick.
Yep. Good stuff. All right, John, you got your last pick here. What you got?
Evanescence, Fallen, their debut album.
Nice.
Incredible. Start to finish. I think it came out in 2003, I want to say, or right around there. And easily my favorite album that came out that year. I tore it up. I still listen to it. From the first song to the last, you're just captivated by the songwriting, the music, her voice. It's incredible. I love it.
Yeah, the sound was definitely unique at that time too. Sort of the clashing of two different genres and just the way that it was overall put together was definitely unique, and that was definitely a really good album. Good stuff. All right, Ryan, what you got for your last album here?
I'm gonna bring myself back, just like pure, like, not high, like intermediate school, like 7th through like 10th grade to like what I would love to listen to, and I'm going to Blink 182, Enema of the State.
Nice.
I feel like I got 3 completely separate genres of music to keep me kind of occupied with those.
Absolutely.
So I'm happy.
Yeah.
Good stuff. And now I'm gonna go the same route here with a completely different album. So I went, Bob Marley with my first pick. I went Jay-Z with my second pick. My third pick, I remember where I was when I was listening to this album too. I was actually working at Toys R Us as a manager at the time, and I was working at the Richmond, Virginia location doing a remodel. And I had my headphones in constantly playing this album. And I remember everybody that was working at the time kept asking me what I was listening to, and I kept telling them. And at that time, they didn't know who she was. They were like, "Who is that? Who is that?" And then she went on to win 13 Grammys for that album, and I think it's still
Avril
a
Lavigne?
record. No, no, absolutely not. Lauryn Hill and the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill was the album. Won 13 Grammys, and then basically kind of fell off the map after that. But that album, every song on that album was awesome. Like I said, she won so many Grammys, so many awards. And ironically, I ended up marrying one of the Marleys, which was my first pick, and now has like I think 8 or 9 kids and lives in I think somewhere in Pennsylvania. But that album was awesome, and like I said, at the time when I was listening to it, no one even knew who she was. I knew her from the Fugees, but they were she kind of went off and did her separate own thing, and no one knew who Lauryn Hill was at that time. But that is definitely my final pick there. So great stuff, guys. That was something I kind of stole from Gladys. I don't know if you watched Gladys's show, Ryan, this past Thursday. She did the same thing. She did albums, and I kind of stole that idea from her because she did a 5-round pick, and it was pretty awesome. So I decided to go with the albums this time. All right, let's get into some football stuff here. Let's do some this or that.
It's time for this or that.
All right, this or that's ADP edition. So I'm gonna give you 2 players from the same position and give you their current startup ADP, and you're gonna tell me which player you prefer at that ADP. And I'll go to you first on this first one here, John. It is Breece Hall, currently the RB3, 8th overall, versus Najee Harris, who's RB8 and 21st overall. If you had your pick between those 2 guys at the current ADP, which one you going with and why?
So I want to start by saying something that I kind of mentioned before we went live, is that all of these are really, really difficult. Okay. So it took me some thinking on this one. And in the end, I'm chasing volume. Volume is king for running backs. We've seen the kind of volume that Najee commands when he's healthy and when he's ready to go. He really came on strong in the second half of the season. From week 10 on, he was the RB7, had the 3rd most attempts among running backs during that stretch. I'm willing to take the slightly cheaper cost there for the volume that I know Harris is going to bring, because we know how the Steelers are going to operate. They're going to run the dang ball, and they're going to run it often. And I think the Jets there's an identity crisis for how the offense is going to operate. So I'm going to lean the cheaper guaranteed volume, and I'm going to take Harris there.
I like it. I like it. And Ryan, I want to get your opinion on this one too, because I think you had Najee Harris last week as one of your guys that's being kind of disrespected as far as his ADP currently.
Yeah. So it's valued as ADP. It's funny. I have him ranked RB9. I have one spot. I have right now for that. Yeah, But at 41, he feels like a lot. I'm a lot more confident with it. Like, I think Brees has a high overall. Najee, I know exactly what I'm getting. Like, worst case scenario was this past year, and he had 240 plus touches. Like, it's crazy. Like, I know we're going to get that out of him, and that offense is going to improve another year. Pick it up. The offensive line can't get any worse. Like, there's a lot to like there. I think he's a value at this moment in time.
Yeah, I'm with you both as well. I would take the discount and get Najee Harris
And
20
and not coming
overall.
not coming off a knee injury at pick 3. That's a little scary too.
Exactly. And I think that offense does get better. I think Pickett another year in that offense, and you got George Pickens there as well. I think that's going to be a decent offense, and I think Najee Harris, what we saw at the second half of last year, we'll see, I think, at the beginning of next year to start the season. So I'm with you both on that. All right, Ryan, this next one, I'll go to you first. This one, Jalen Waddle, who's currently wide receiver 5 and 6th overall, obviously a one quarterback league for these ones, versus Devonta Smith, who's wide receiver 14 and 23rd overall. I picked these two guys because they're the quote unquote receiver 2 on their own teams. So who do you like here, Ryan?
Okay, this is super hard. Like this one, I think is one of the most difficult ones you put up here because I love both players. I'm going with Jalen Waddle. I think Jalen Waddle is an absolute superstar, and I think they both are. But like, I think Waddle just has that it factor with it. That offense is built for passing all the time and often. Philly's still gonna have a pretty heavy run game, and the way Devontae Smith gets his points is inconsistent chunks compared to Waddle's more consistent chunks. Even though it's kind of weird, but you know he's getting those deep targets every single game, and he has more opportunities I feel comfortable about. But it's close, man. That's a value. I think Devontae Smith's a value, but I love Waddle.
Agreed. Yeah, I think both of these are really close. What you got for this one, John?
Yeah, to echo what Ryan said, I mean, this is a really tough one for me. I had to really think about this. And when you break it down, I mean, like you mentioned, both players are technically the wide receiver 2s in their team. They're both really talented, got the alphas in front of them. And what makes them even closer is when you look at where they finished last year. They finished as Waddle as wide receiver 8 and Smith as wide receiver 9, respectively. On a point per game basis, they were separated by 0.2 PPR points per game. Wow. So again, in this case, I'm going to take the discount. I'm going to take the slightly cheaper one here and roll with Devonta Smith. But if this was cost agnostic, I would probably be leaning Waddle. I just think he's got a little bit more explosiveness. He's got that deep threat ability anytime. But in this scenario, I'm going to take the discount for the almost identical production.
The one thing I will say to your point, which I didn't realize they're that close, is we saw Devonta Smith do it in a perfect offense with a quarterback who was absolutely clicking this year. We saw Jalen Waddle do this with a hodgepodge of QBs, concussions, and no real consistency. If they get that quarterback situation locked down and figured out, I think he has wide receiver 1 overall potential at some point. Maybe not consistently year after year, but I think he can put out those numbers in the season. Yeah. And I don't think Smith can do that. Like, I'm going with the guy who I think could be the 1 overall in his position.
Yeah, that was going to be a
valid point.
Yeah, my kind of tiebreaker was looking at the receiver 1s on those two teams, and we got A.J. Brown and, of course, Tyreek Hill.
I mean, they're both great.
And they're both great. I just think A.J. Brown's a little bit younger, has a little bit more years under him. I do think Waddle eventually becomes the receiver 1 on that team. I don't know if Devonta Smith ever does if A.J. Brown stays there. I think he stays number 2. So Waddle could eventually surpass Tyreek Hill as the number 1 there. So I'll go Waddle there at the wide receiver 5. But it's close. Like John said, I mean, you can go either way and be happy with either one of those two guys. All right, let's look at some tight ends. And for the sake of this, we'll do this as a tight end premium. So Kyle Pitts, and I'll go to you first, John. Kyle Pitts as the tight end 1 currently, 18th overall, or to take the tight end 6 at 74th overall, Mr. Dallas Goedert. Which one do you like out of those two?
Did the sigh come across? I mean, was that audible? Everybody heard that?
I think it could have been a little. I think it could have been a little bigger.
Okay, I'll try a little bit harder. Look, I'm a sucker for an overly athletic tight end. Cough, cough. OJ Howard, cough, cough. I'd like to pretend that I would be smart with my draft capital here. And in a non-tight end premium league, I could probably withstand the temptation. But when you mix the tight end premium, the positional scarcity, I can see me talking myself into taking Kyle Pitts and then being really pissed off at myself by the third week in September.
I love the self-awareness in this. I love the self-awareness on that.
Just being honest.
Good stuff. What about you, Ryan? What are you going with here?
Oh, I'm going Goddard. There's zero chance in hell I'm taking him at 18. Between Eckler, Olave, Metcalf, Harris, Adams, Devontae Smith are all after him. Drake London would probably take after him. Mark Andrews, even I think about because he's more consistent when he has a quarterback. I'd probably go about 10, 15, I'd probably go 10 players who get drafted after him before him. Like, I'm not sniffing him at 18. I thought it was bad last year when he was at 10. He's still 18 after a year of terrible production. And this team's a mess. We don't know who the quarterback is. We know nothing. I'm good. Hard pass.
Yeah,
And
Jamie's saying he's passing on both and going with Njoku. Of course, the Browns fan
yeah,
would say.
Yeah, his Browns fandom showing. Come on, dude. Take off that hat.
Yeah. I think I'm going Goddard as well. I do think I could discount there. I love Pitts, and I do think that if it wasn't 18th overall, if he's tight end 1, but he's more like 24th, 25th overall, maybe I'm doing it. But 18th is a little bit steep for me, I think. I do think I'm going to take Dallas Goddard in that big discount there.
That's why I prefaced everything I said with saying that I'm a huge sucker for an overly athletic tight end and referenced OJ Howard because I've made mistakes at this position and I'm just a sucker for it and I keep coming back.
Absolutely. I've drafted in my league. I've drafted Kyle Pitts and OJ Howard as well. I have both of them in my leagues.
I'm very anti-tight end and let tight end fly, so it tracks.
All right, let's move to the running backs here, Ryan. And I'm taking these two guys that are pretty similar as far as their volume and the kind of way that they're used. Jonathan Taylor as the RB1, 5th overall, versus Derrick Henry, a little bit older, as the RB14 and 41st overall.
I want to say that value on Derrick Henry is stupid. Like, it's absolutely insane. He's going to outproduce everybody being picked around him. But I'm taking Jonathan Taylor there. Like, he's 23. We know what he can do. He has lots of good football ahead of him. That wall for Derrick Henry is going to come. I don't know if it's going to be this year. I don't know if it's going to be next year, but it's coming. It's going to come hard. And Jonathan Taylor's a pure stud. This team's another one. If they can get their quarterback situation figured out, which they seem pretty inclined to do and they're looking around for, that could change.
Yeah. Is he your current RB1? Or would you put anybody up above him?
Yes.
Including Bijan. Would Bijan be above Jonathan Taylor?
No, Jonathan Taylor's still my 1.
So you're 1? Okay.
Yeah. Bijan's at 6 with possibility to move up. We'll say that.
Fair enough. All right, John, what you got for this one? You got JT at RB1, 5th overall, or Derrick Henry, RB14, 41st overall?
So both these guys have the potential for an RB1, like an overall RB1 finish in the range of outcomes. We're aware of that. And one comes at a significant discount due to age, mileage on the tire, so to speak. If this was redraft, I'm taking the discount. But in Dynasty, you're building for next year and the year after and the year after. So I'm going to pay up in this case, and I'm taking Jonathan Taylor. I want to build for a couple years down the road, not just right now. And like Ryan said, that wall is coming. He might be an injury away from it. We don't know. He's got plenty of wear and tear on it. So I'm going to go with the younger guy, the guy that has a few years left that I can still get trade value for after this season if I so choose. So I'm going JT there.
I like it. So I'm on the opposite side of the fence, and not because I don't think JT is the RB1.
I know why.
Go ahead.
I know why. It's because you take wide receiver early, and you hate
do.
taking running backs in the first round. That's why.
Absolutely. That is exactly the reason. Exactly. 5th overall kind of gets me. There are some really good receivers I can have 5th overall. And if I got to pass on JT to get that, then I'm going to do that. And I'm gonna
I think I take it. I think if it's non-QB, I think I'd take him as high as third overall.
Really? So
Yeah.
Chase and Justin Jefferson, and then JT is number 3 for you?
The JT's in that conversation.
Okay, fair enough.
Depending on my mood in the day, he's in that conversation at 3 for me.
I can tell you've been talking to Gerson about this because Gerson gives me a hard time about this all the time as well. That I take.
I have. No, not at all, actually.
Oh, okay.
I just podcasted with you so long now. I know every one of your tendencies.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I think 5th overall is right where I'd be comfortable taking him. I typically want to get that stud receiver early. So if this would have been 2nd or 3rd, I probably would have leaned the other direction. But it being 5th, I'll bite.
Fair enough. All right, last one here. We're going to do this from a Superflex standpoint, and we're going to look at 2 quarterbacks that were high on when they came in as rookies, and they've kind of gone opposite directions. Justin Fields, currently the QB7 and 8th overall, versus Trey Lance, who's the QB 13 overall, and QB 13 and 22nd overall. John, where are you going here with this one?
I've got to go Justin Fields. I mean, no big buildup. I mean, Trey Lance is basically -2 seasons of experience right now. And I like the potential. Don't get me wrong. Like, I know he's got the big arm. I was heavily drafting Ayuk because I thought Ayuk fit his skill set so much better than Jimmy Garoppolo. Because of that big arm tendency to push the ball. Like, I know the potential is there, but we've got -2 seasons of production. So I'm going to take Fields. Fields is one of 7 quarterbacks that scored 20 or more fantasy points on a per game basis last season.
Yeah.
So I think that can only improve if he kind of unlocks a little bit more of his passing ability. And he's got Trevor Siemian behind him and Nathan 5 interceptions and 1/2 Peterman, which should be his legal name. Yeah. And whereas like Trey Lance has still currently has Jimmy G and Glock Purdy sitting behind him. Yep. So I know the path to Justin Fields starting, his leash is way longer, and I know that he's got another section of his game he can improve on and get better at. So I'm taking Fields here.
Good point. Yeah, good point about the quarterbacks behind them because you're right. I mean, there's no one that's on that team taking Justin Fields' job for sure. Ryan, what you got?
Dude, this is egregious. The fact that he's going as QB 13 and Brock Purdy is QB 17 is just like it's fantasy football malpractice. Like, it's absolutely stupid. You're giving up. I would much rather take one of the rookie quarterbacks, either one of the top 2 rookie quarterbacks. I would take Dak Prescott. I'd take Deshaun Watson. I'd give Russell Wilson another chance before I'm taking Trey Lance with Sean Payton offense. Like, him at 13 is just absolutely bonkers. You're essentially saying I'm going to, as my QB 1 or 2, give up my entire future on a dart throw on a guy who could lose his job to a guy getting drafted 4 QB spots later. It's crazy. I can't believe he's that, and shame on everybody for taking him that high.
Yeah. As a Niners fan, I tend to agree with both of you that Justin Fields is the pick here, 8th overall. Trey Lance at 13 kind of stood out to me, like you said, Ryan. I was kind of like, wow, he's still just below a QB1 currently.
I think I take Danny Dimes over him, and that's gross.
Yeah,
it kind of is, but I feel you.
Yeah.
Kenny Pickett? I think I take him over him.
Yeah, I think that's the line for me. Right there.
But you'd have to think about it.
I would have to think about
if
it.
If Deontay Johnson comes back,
yeah, especially if he's your QB1. If he's your QB2, you could take the shot for the upside. But if he's your QB1, that's really, really risky for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Spoiler alert: when we do this draft, I'm probably not going to like who ever has Trey as their QB. Odds they're taking pretty high.
Good stuff. All right, attention Dynasty managers. We'll do something fun and unique for your leagues for as low as $8.50 per person in a 12-man league. We do live 1-hour personal league podcasts dedicated to your league. We break down every team in your league. We rank them from worst to first. Just visit goingfor2.com/PLP for details and to book your podcast. We do Dynasty, we do Redraft, Superflex, Vampire Leagues. We did a 20-team Empire League last year. Again, that link is goingfor2.com/PLP. The PLP stands for Personal League Podcast, so go book yours now. All right, so we're actually going to look at a live draft here that is currently going on. I'm going to go ahead and bring it up on the screen here so we can all see it. So this is courtesy of Brian Ford, who's one of Going for Two's writers. He kind of shared his link with us so we can kind of look at his league currently as it's being drafted. And we're going to go round by round here and just kind of talk to the two of you and talk about picks that you like or dislike. And we'll start here in the first round where basically every pick was a quarterback except for Jefferson and Chase. And Ryan, I'm going to go to you first here looking at this draft here. What picks stand out to you as far as what you like and what you don't like?
So, like, all the way through those first 7 quarterbacks, the order may be different every draft, and I'm legit not going to complain about it. Like, if you like, I may not like Burrow at 3, but him at 7 is not a big difference to me. Like, it's who you like, it's your flavor of quarterback in that. I think that the Deshaun Watson at 10 is a real big stretch, and same with Dak Prescott at 12 in the first round. I think they're just, instead of going all in on that quarterback trend, like they kind of just reached when they could have just tried to win on the positions and win with 2 mediocre quarterbacks, and they could maybe dominate the running back position with guys like Jonathan Taylor falling. I think they missed out an opportunity there, stretching on the quarterbacks. But like the first 8 picks are pretty, or first 9 picks, all pretty normal.
Yeah, that's kind of where I look at it too. Is that the Deshaun Watson pick sort of stood out? Not only did it stand out just from the first round, but then you get into the second round and he takes Tua Tagovailoa, who has some issues with concussions and everything. His quarterback room is going to be a little sketchy going into next year.
No, Deshaun Watson was that guy's second first round pick. So
you're right.
He took Trevor Lawrence, then Deshaun Watson, which makes that pick even crazier to me because, oh my God, you could have a top 6 quarterback in the RB1 or a potential the wide receiver 1 with Jamar Chase there. Like,
yep.
I don't like
good call on
that
I missed that. Yeah, I missed that the pick was traded there, so I pulled it up his team. So yeah, you're right. He got
this is why I have an extra $30 for PLPs and it goes straight to my event now.
Actually. All right. What about you, John? Anything else stand out to you besides the Deshaun Watson pick there? I saw you shaking.
No, I mean that jumped out at me the same way it did as you guys, and I also missed that he had traded and taken Lawrence there, where he did, which with Lamar Jackson still being on the board actually kind of makes that one a little surprising to me as well. But I don't hate it because you've got a young guy that really made strides in his second season. So, but yeah, the Deshaun Watson thing was the one that kind of stood out to me as being like, one of these things doesn't look like the other.
Yeah, agreed. All right, let's move down into the to the second round here, and this is a tight end premium, so you'll see some tight ends mixed in here as well. I don't know if it's one or
kickers are rookie picks too. We should
kickers are rookies pick. Yeah,
Justin Tucker did not go 2.2.
Yeah, I hope not.
Right,
even though he should be the GOAT.
So John, I thought you go first this time. Any of these picks in the second round stand out to you as far as good or bad?
I think the Kyler Murray pick is, I mean, right there at 2-1 was kind of interesting to me. Like, he didn't play like a QB1 this year. He had rage fits on the sideline like an angry toddler. The coaching situation has changed. He's coming off an injury. Like, I much prefer him in a dynasty format as opposed to redraft. But I thought that pick there was a little, I'm just now seeing that. Oh, here I am going on a rant, and that's not even his first quarterback.
It's the second quarterback. Yeah, I wanted to pull that up. He got Josh Allen in the first.
Yeah, I got to start paying attention.
But yeah, I think your point's still valid, though. I think, Kyler Murray, what's he going to be? First of all, is he even going to play this year? I know it's Dynasty, so, we're drafting for even the future beyond this, but does he even play this year at all? And then what's the offense look like when he finally does play? Because it's going to have a different coach, different, whole coaching staff's going to be different. Different weapons will probably be there because we already know D-Hop will probably be gone. So a lot of question marks around picking
I'm the opposite. I like him there. I have him as my QB9 after that big run. I think it's a little bit of a dip, but him and Josh Allen's a really, really nice start. Like, I'm I'm okay with that because I think he's a lot better, especially with the rushing upside, than any quarterback you see the next gap for.
Yeah, good stuff. What about you, Ryan? Anything here stand out to you in the second round?
The first running, I'm assuming that Justin Tucker picked with the 101 in the rookie drafts is Bijan Robinson, the first running back off the board.
Yes, I would assume that.
Like-
I would assume the same.
Like, we're assuming that Bijan Robinson is the first running back, and man, exciting times.
So do you like the pick there, or do you not like the pick there?
I got no beef with that. I just think it's very like Jonathan Taylor's
aggressive.
It's
Yeah.
very aggressive.
It's
I
really
support
aggressive.
Like if you have him, Jamar Chase, and that hits, and it looks like they have another first here pretty soon. Like I'm cool with it, and the fact that Jonathan Taylor fell to RB3, I feel is a steal because all these other guys going, and especially at 2-9 to pair with Jalen Hurts. Or nope, that's a lot. I did it.
Let's see where
Bobby
GQ
Parrott.
football is. There he goes. He got a whole bunch of running backs to start.
He got a whole bunch. So he
Yeah.
traded back out of the first round and got Jonathan Taylor. He has to be so happy for that.
Yeah. Yeah, he actually, his quarterback's a little suspect. Tua Tagovailoa, Trey Lance, we just talked about, Aaron Rodgers later on, but then he's got Jonathan Taylor, ETN, and Eckler.
And Josh Jacobs and Kelsey. And
Yeah.
like that, you can survive with those quarterbacks. You have Rodgers, who should be okay, and Tua, they're not going to lose you games. They're solid. And then you got these huge boom players that he just stacked in rounds 2 through 4, 2 through 5.
Yeah.
Like, Debo's there. This team's good. I like what he did.
Yep, you got Adams and Debo as his receivers. That's great.
And that's to go with that running back stable and Kelsey.
Yeah.
This guy killed it. I love it.
I think this is a good opportunity to mention too. What you guys told me at the beginning of the show is that if you have a draft like this, if you click on the player's name at the top, it shows you all this. Like I did not know that until tonight.
Yeah,
And that's awesome. So this
No,
is a really, when you see the full picture with the trades and everything else, like this team all of a sudden looks way better.
yeah.
It looks
100%.
way. This is a good team, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it really is.
I would be afraid if any week I played this team head to head, I would be scared because you have 4 running backs who could pop off and
Yeah.
get 20 plus points, the tight end 1, and 2 wide receivers who can go off at any time. This is a
and
crazy team.
look at the value on Lockett.
Yeah. Yeah, all the
Look
way
at the
down.
value on Lockett. Like he
Lockett finished
stole
pretty-
him.
Lockett's
11th
always a steal.
Yeah.
That's just science. That's just science.
I tweeted
Yeah.
about that just recently, how like where his value isn't, but to get him that late, like I kind of dig this team.
Yeah, it's a good team for sure.
Yeah, this is well done.
All right, let's move down into the. Let's skip down a couple of rounds here. Let's go all the way down to the 5th round here because I see a little bit of run on quarterbacks here in the 5th round, John. We got some receivers there towards the end and also towards the beginning there. A lot of rookie picks go in this round as well. What are your thoughts on this on the 5th round here?
Yeah, that the 5th round is interesting. I like seeing some of the rookie picks get in there. You see a kind of a pile of those early on, and I think that's a kind of a safe place to start. Dropping some rookies in there. I kind of like the value of DeAndre Swift there. Now I'm kind of a Swift guy,
Me
so
too.
I'm still digesting the disappointment from this season, but I kind of like him in that spot, and I'm just now seeing that was the first running back he took. Wow.
Pretty solid as far as first running back. You got him in the 5th round.
Yeah. So assuming that we get a healthy DeAndre Swift, because we did see this year when DeAndre Swift was healthy, he was a player to be, very proud to roster. So I kind of like where he went there. I think that's a good spot. So that was the first thing that kind of stood out to me.
Yeah. What about you, Ryan? Anything in this round that you liked or didn't like?
The order the wide receivers went to is a little bit crazy to me. Like Godwin, Pittman over Debo is a little bit questionable for me. I think the Cousins over Trey Lance is funny for how our conversation went earlier. But you got
Yeah.
you got rookie pick 6, 7, and 8 here. So I think it's a little bit of rookie fever. Like, we're getting some pretty solid dart throws at that position, at those positions there. Before guys like Debo Samuel, who's proven. Before, like, even like Javonte Williams or Madre Stevenson in the next round. I feel maybe a little more comfortable with George Pickens, who goes in the next round. Like, I think we're stretching a little bit on these. Nick Chubb's in the next round. And, like, it's rookie fever, but, like, round 5 seems high for pick 6, 7, and 8.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
I don't think if you had Debo Samuel on your team, you would trade that for the 106. I don't think if you had Javonte Williams on your team, you trade that for the 106. I don't know many people are doing that trade, or the 108 for that matter, and that's what's happening here.
Yeah.
Like, it's rookie fever, and it's hard.
Good point. The one that stood out to me was, like you mentioned, the receivers, and Godwin going at 501 there. We talked about him on the last podcast as well. Godwin being a little overvalued right now because he's losing his quarterback, and that team probably gets pretty much blown up. And what does Godwin become after that? I still like Godwin. I just don't know if I'm taking him over guys like you mentioned, Debo Samuel. I'm probably taking DJ Moore over him too. I mean, I know he had a little bit of a rough season to start, but he looked really good towards the end of the season.
Can we talk about that for a minute? The Christian Watson over DJ Moore there?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Yeah, that why?
Yeah.
I guess. I mean,
it's his wide receiver 4, so maybe he was thinking get the high upside guy, but
the upside guy. Yeah, maybe it's the upside play, but just looking at that, I'm like, yeah, I don't know that I do that. DJ Moore just had the most touchdowns he's had in his professional career with an absolute ridiculous carousel of quarterback play.
Yeah.
I mean, ridiculous. This guy's a quarterback away from being a legit, top 10 guy.
Yeah.
Hey, Christian Watson's a mental breakdown away from having Jordan Love. Like,
yeah. Absolutely.
See, perspective.
Yep. And DJ Moore had his best game of the year with an XFL quarterback. He had that one ridiculous catch there to put. Yeah, and if he can do that, if we keep saying it every year, if only DJ Moore had a quarterback, what could he be? I mean, he could be amazing.
He's the oldest 25-year-old in the league right now.
Yeah,
I feel like for reals. I feel like I'm aging in dog years as being a DJ Moore supporter.
That's accurate. I feel that.
All right, let's skip down in here into let's look at the 7th round here, guys. 7th round, we got let's see, Jamal Williams kicks off the 7th round. A couple quarterbacks in there. We got Derek Carr, Matthew Stafford, Kenny Pickett, a few receivers, Brandon Ayuk, and Marquise Brown. A few more rookie picks in there. Anything here stand out to you, John, in the 7th round?
Hollywood Brown at 7'3". I am like heart symbol, like pumping,
Smash.
like Bugs Bunny in the Merry Melodies cartoon where it's like literally blowing out of his chest. Do that to me for Hollywood Brown at 7'3". I am in, baby.
Especially if they trade away D-Hop, right? I mean, even with Murray not going to be there at the beginning of the season, I do think that Brown's going to get targets like crazy in that offense.
Right, and he can succeed as a possession style receiver. He can succeed, as a deeper threat than what he was utilized last year. So yeah, I love that value right there. I think that's a great pick there. I think it's a steal. That's the first thing in round 7 that really kind of stands out to me as being
nice. What about you, Ryan? What you got in this round?
I feel like he did this on purpose to make me talk about him back-to-back weeks. But holy shit, J.K. Dobbins at 7'8". He was. Did we not watch the season when he was just lighting it up, and he was a top 7 running back from when he got healthy to the end of the year. Oh, and now he has new offensive coordinator Todd Monken, who has this ridiculous successes with running backs in the last couple years. And he's not afraid to let one running back get all the carries when he didn't have more than 15 carries in the game last year and still was that productive. Dude, it's J.K. Dobbins' season. And I think it's really interesting McLaurin and Jahan Dotson going this close to each other. And I'm curious if this order is the same in 2 months from now because I think it's going to flip-flop. And I think it should.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
Like
You're right there.
Jahan Dotson is such an exciting young talent. I think he's gonna creep up there.
I like it.
Very much so.
All right, so we're up against the clock here. I do want to get to a couple of these teams. There's 3 teams I wanted to look at that have 3 different strategies. We talked a little bit about one of them already, but we'll start with the White Knight. He drafted at the 112, and he took one elite quarterback and then sort of punted his QB2. Let's look at that team real quick. So he got Dak Prescott at the 112, but didn't get his QB2 all the way until 11-10 with Brock Purdy. And I'm going to ask you, John, what do you like this strategy, and what don't you like about the strategy? Anything to the strategy you like?
So when it comes to Superflex, I'm a different animal, and I want elite early. Like I typically want 2 quarterbacks in my first 3 rounds. And so it's one of the more valuable positions, positional scarcity, blah, blah, blah. So I like the idea of going aggressive at Dak Prescott there to get your elite guy taken care of. And I'd have been fine if he'd have picked someone, earlier with some upside or stability, right? So if you're drafting Dak Prescott, you know that he does have some rushing touchdown capability. He's capable of throwing for 300 yards a game. You've got kind of that safe floor. So find yourself a Daniel Jones later. Find yourself a Kirk Cousins later. Get yourself something. I don't like, in a super flex, I don't like waiting that long to drop another pick on a quarterback that may play, but that may not. So I really don't like that from the super flex standpoint of the roster construction.
Yeah, good call. And Jamie's got a question in the chat, and it's just ironic because I got through a whole debate with this on Facebook today. He wants us to explain the strategy of taking rookie picks in a startup. He's never done it before, and he can't imagine taking picks, other than 1 through 4, but by not knowing who's going to be there after that. And I kind of talked about this a little bit on Facebook, and I'll go first here. Drafting the picks, to me, is the only way to do it pre-draft. I know some people might want to do just the rookies, put the names in there. To me, because value changes so much, the combine and the NFL draft comes up. And I pointed to the example I used on Facebook was Malik Willis from last year. He was a top 5-ish superflex quarterback last year at this time last year. But then the combine came, and then the NFL draft came, and he slipped all the way down to the 3rd round. So I don't want the rookie picks names. I just want the pick itself, because I think the value of the picks increases as you get closer to the draft, whereas some of the rookie names might lose value. What are your thoughts on that, John?
I agree with you wholeheartedly, because right now it's a number assigned to it, and he's kind of right here, Jamie, is that when you're doing it this way, we are thinking in terms of the first 5-6 guys that you can almost map out in rookie mocks and stuff like that. And beyond that, it gets a little murkier. Things kind of shift around. But after the combine and hype starts to build, you kind of start to see in different mocks where you can get people. And yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. I think the value builds as we go. So yeah, I do want to get some of those picks early on to know that I've got some flexibility in who I can look at there. And if I do a little bit more research than the other 11 people in the league, I might have a leg up at getting a stud.
Absolutely. And it's his follow-up question here, Ryan, goes exactly to what you always say at this time of year.
Yeah, I literally saw it. I'm like, oh, yeah. But I kind of want to expand on that more. Like, yes, I don't think roster construction matters as much this time of year. But when you're taking the rookie picks like that, like, it's a very good idea to have be realistic about it, which we kind of talked about earlier in the draft on that straight where like 6 through 8 went. Like, if you're putting names to the faces before the draft, like I have, say for example, I think Zach Evans is going to be a guy going that. I'm going to put that name to my face when I'm drafting. Am I going to take Zach Evans or Deebo Samuel? Am I going to take Zach Evans or Nick Chubb? And that's how I'm going to kind of build my board for the rookie picks. Like, I have to have an idea how I value my rookies and do it. And most people aren't going to overvalue it. Like, if you're taking it this early, other than the top few picks, you want it as, honestly, a trading tool. And you're taking some chances here. I don't, like, I like drafting both ways just because it's fun. But like I think you have to have names and faces. Like you have to have a very good idea to make it from a construction point. Like you said, if you're building your team and you do want to build your roster out, and I take the 103, it could pigeonhole me if I'm gonna take Jackson Smith and Jigba, or I'm gonna reach on running back.
Yeah.
Like that's where that's how you have to view it. So it makes it a little bit of a struggle there. But I think you can do it. You just have to have a very, very sound understanding of how you think the picks are going to go.
Agreed. And you, Ryan, kind of glossed over a little bit, but at this time of year, roster construction doesn't really matter because you can.
No, I glossed it because I say it every time we talk about startups because I don't care about construction at all right now. You'll fill out a roster. Everybody has names, such as White, who has no quarterbacks. He's gonna have to trade for a quarterback at some point, and maybe he'll make a good deal. I don't know if I don't love his team, so I think he's not struggling on getting it, but it's possible.
Yeah. All right, let's look at this guy we looked at a little bit already, but I'll talk about it one more time here. GQ Football. He drafted here at the 106, and he sort of took the approach of waiting on quarterback. We kind of talked about that already, about how he stacked his team with running backs here, but just in general, not just with this team specifically, Ryan, but in general, are you a wait on quarterback Superflex guy, or do you like to get your quarterbacks early?
It's all the flow of the draft for me. Like I don't want to reach on anything, and I think it worked out well for him. Like if you can slam the other positions, and he also traded back, and he did it efficiently, which a lot of times people do it not having a game plan with it. He did great with that because he got huge value in plays. But waiting on the quarterback's really tough, and even like how John mentioned how he likes to hammer it. Sometimes you got to zig when other people zag, but if you're going to do it, you got to do it right. And I think he did that. Like if he would have had these quarterbacks and not nailed running back, receiver, and tight end, we'd have questions. But he's going to be a really good performer in 3 different spots.
Yeah. Are you on the same boat, John? I know you see like the hammer quarterback earlier, but if you could just know ahead of time this would be your team, would you take this team?
Yeah, and this is a really good example of where I typically go into a draft with a mindset that I'm going to be hammering that quarterback position early. If there's an example that you could write to say this is the argument against going that route, this team is it. He nailed these positions so well. He got value in great places. So yeah, in this case, yeah, I would take this team and see what I could do with it because you're dangerous on 3 levels.
Agreed. All right, the last one I want to look at, we talked about a little bit already too. Bought not borrowed. We talked Deshaun Watson being sort of iffy pick, but let's just take him out of the equation. Let's just say he got Trevor Lawrence, and let's just say either a Dak Prescott or a Kyler Murray type that we talked about being a little too low here. John, this is sort of your strategy as far as going quarterback early, but did he kind of sacrifice too much because he doesn't have a second, a third, or a 4th round pick here? He skipped all those to move up. What are your thoughts here with this team?
It was a lot to wager to get where he got. I will say that, and I think he is. He's a little weak at the running back position, but what I do like is the value that he got at the wide receiver position. He got both youth, he got talent, he got some good deals. We talked about Hollywood Brown at 7.3. You got to love that pick. But sacrificing some of the rookie stuff there, as far as your startup picks or your rookie picks, he put a lot on the line, and I'm still like the biggest question is taking Deshaun Watson as early as he was taken there when there were some other names on the board that I think you could have gone with.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. And I think, there's no second, no third, no 4th round pick really kind of hampers him. I think he got some great value towards the end there, but I mean, he doesn't have that sort of standout guy that's going to be like, I can count on this guy every single week and plug him into my lineup. And I just don't see that on his team right now.
Dalvin Cook at 11.3 stupid, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, holy.
I think from a volume standpoint, getting Brian Robinson, who was like really heavily involved, like the guy's got volume, getting him at 13.3. Nope. I mean That's pretty good.
Oh, that is dude, his running backs aren't bad. Pierce, Henry, Cook, Robinson. That's not bad.
It's not
And
terrible.
he's got Damian Harris in the wing and Chuba Hubbard. I mean, there's some depth there. And then you've got your flyer at the end. You got Rashad Penny in 19. I mean, there's some potential there. And if you know what, if Chuba Hubbard doesn't hit, who cares? You picked him in the 18th round. What's it matter?
You know, in retrospect, I know it's easy to say it. What he should have done is that 110 he should have traded back to try to recoup maybe that third or
What
fourth.
he dropped at first.
Yeah.
And
He could
have
actually a good call.
He could have got Watson much later, but like he could have, even if he wasn't Watson, he wasn't another different good player. He could have moved back, and like I said, Jonathan Taylor went 2.9. Breece Hall went 2.10. He could have dropped to the second round, still got the QB he wanted, and coming out without that.
Yeah. That's a good call.
Yeah, that's a really, really, really insightful point there.
All right. Great conversation, guys. This is kind of new for us. We've never done this before on the show. I thought this would be kind of fun to break down an actual real life drafting league. Just kind of look at it from a value perspective. So appreciate all the insight, gentlemen. Let's go ahead and get into our last segment of the night.
Get ready for GoingFor2.com's Forgotten Fantasy Player of the Week.
All right, John, since the last time you were on, we changed this a little bit. It used to be you just give us your player and talk about him. But now we kind of ask that you kind of give us some hints around this guy, and we try to guess who it is. So go ahead and give us a couple of hints for your forgotten fantasy player here.
Okay. I will start with position. He's a running back. Okay. Running back.
All right.
And I'm specifically looking at 2013.
Okay.
Okay. He's an AFC East team.
Okay.
Okay. He was well into his career at this point. He was splitting carries with another running back, a younger one.
Okay.
He finished with almost 900 rushing yards.
Did he have like 15 touchdowns?
Not 15. He had 9 rushing touchdowns, and I think he had a receiving touchdown that season too.
Okay.
AFC East team.
His teammate, which was drafted much higher, finished with 2 rushing touchdowns, but a few more rushing yards.
Yeah, see, I was thinking like that's the LeGarrette Blount range, but I think LeGarrette Blount had like 15 touchdowns, so I don't think that's the right pick there.
Yep, not the right one.
I think you have the right team though.
It sounds like a Patriots thing, right? That's kind of why I went to, 2 running backs.
It does. Now that I think about it from not knowing who I'm talking about, yeah, I can totally see that. But I'm going to go ahead and play spoiler and say it's not a Patriots running back.
Not a Patriot. Okay.
Oh, okay.
No. He was way cheaper.
I think I know who the other running back is, but I don't know who. I think I know who's running back. Is it Miami Dolphins running back?
No.
No.
So, all right. So we were down to 2 teams. It's got to be the Jets or the Bills. In 2013, was that CJ?
Fred Jackson.
Fred Jackson.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yep.
I was just sitting there.
That is it.
CJ Spiller was the high draft pick one.
Yep, correct.
Exactly
he was
right.
splitting carries with CJ Spiller. Yes.
I knew
he was that. Fred Jackson was so cheap, and you knew he was going to be involved, and you knew the guy could hit it in the end zone. And I remember drafting him that year, and I think he was like my second or third to the last pick, and just torched. I loved it.
Yeah, and he was really good down the stretch, too, wasn't he?
And I think he was in his 30s at this point. I want to say he was. I'd have to look. I want to say he 32, 33 years old at the time.
Yep. He caught a bunch of passes too, didn't he?
Yeah, he caught a handful of passes that year. Did pretty well there. He had the 1 receiving touchdown, if I remember correct. Now I need to pull it up. But yeah, Fred Jackson. That was my guy.
That's a good pull. That's a good pull. Absolutely. And I was on that route, Ryan. You beat me to it, but I said Spiller. I was like thinking Spiller, and I was like, who was the other running back that was there? I couldn't think of his name, but you got him before me.
It's funny. I thought of his name before Spiller.
Yeah, because when he said there's another running back there, I was drafted higher. That's what I was thinking. I was thinking, all right, high draft picks where the veteran running back was basically better than him. That's why I was thinking LeGarrette Blount at that time too. But
it's funny because Spiller did finish with more yards, but I mean, Fred Jackson just absolutely beat his butt in the touchdown department.
Absolutely. Good pull. I love it. Good stuff. All right, that wraps the podcast up. We'll go around the room real quick. Give us your Twitter handle, and if you want to plug anything you're working on, we'll go to you first, John.
All right, you can find me at John_Hesterman, and I've got a lot of stuff coming up soon. Shortly after the combine, we're going to do some really big rookie breakdowns. I'll be doing more rookie profiles and kind of going through more rankings and trying to get those updated. So that's the stuff I'm going to be working on shortly.
Good stuff. Ryan, what you got going on?
Normal stuff. Find me here, going for 2. Find me over the rookie big board. Find me on Twitter, Fox534. We'll be putting out rookie profiles. I got sick when we were supposed to record, so this got pushed a little bit, but hopefully we'll get those taken care of soon.
Absolutely. As always, guys, you can follow me on Twitter at JeffLambert77. Like Ryan mentioned, we're going to be putting out the short videos for rookie profiles. We already have a bunch of our written content rookie profiles on the site at goingfor2.com. Brian Ford, whose draft we just broke down, is actually doing a lot of those. He's knocked out a bunch of the later round guys. We haven't talked about much of the high round guys yet. We've got some of the later round guys, so go check that out over at goingfor2.com. We also have a Superflex mock draft that we just did with a bunch of writers that will be being released here shortly as well. So for Ryan, for John, I'm Jeff, and we will see y'all next week.